Teresa Swann, and I'm making this video about my past life experiences. I've always had an interest in past lives, and my mum, when my mum was alive and I was still living at home, they used to get these odd programmes on telly about people who'd had past lives, and they were always princesses or kings, and my mum used to say, I'm sure everyone can't have been in, so my mum never really believed them because they were probably fake, you know, because most of us have been ordinary people, haven't we? There's far more of us than the elite people in the world. Well, a few years ago, a couple of years ago, I bought myself this book, Through Time into Healing, by Brian Wise, or Vise, not sure how some people say the W's in certain names as a V, don't they? Brian Wise. And this book opened up so many parts of my brain, because his experience as a psychiatrist, where he began hypnotherapy, I think they call it, and he was realising that a lot of the people were talking about another life they'd had, not about the life they were having. They were talking about past life. So this started him on this progress of learning about past lives and treating people for that, helping people to open up from that, and realising that things that go on in our lives now, in our current lifetime, some of the things that are happening, and of course a lot of the people we meet, significant people like family and friends, have been in our previous lives, and something that's happened in those previous lives with those people could be surfacing now, and decisions we made in those previous lives. So I bought this book, read it, and then in the back there's a section where he talks you through something to record for yourself to regress yourself. So I did this. I had to do it about 3 times to get it to the right speed, because you're only in it about 2 or 3 minutes, so I'd practiced that, and I did regress myself, which I found extremely interesting. And you're only in the regression minutes. You arrive there, you look at your feet, so you look at what, if you can tell, you know, if you're a child, a woman, a man, what you're wearing. And then the first person you see, you would ask them what year is this, what's the date, where is it, you know, where are we living. And then you may see someone, you should see someone from this present life, but of course they'll look different because you look different, don't you? And something will unfold in that, but you are in it very, very short time. You only need to go there to get the information, and then you're back. So it's not scary at all, there's nothing to fear. So I did that, saw myself in different lives. I've done it about 3 times, and with listening to my own voice, regressing myself, recorded on my phone, and I've seen myself in as a little girl who lived in a big stately home, and I was outside and I was running because somebody had turned up who was visiting us with their horse and carriage, because this was in old-fashioned times, with long dresses on. And I was running towards the horse, and my brother was behind me shouting out no, and it was entirely my fault. I was a little girl. I ran straight into the path of the horse, and it kicked me because I frightened it, you know. But I know in that life, my mum in that life, first of all she blamed the horse. It was the horse's fault, and probably had the horse put down. And then she spent the rest of her life believing that, you know, it was her fault because she hadn't been watching me. It was and then my brother in that life lived with a terrible regret and remorse because he felt it was his fault because he didn't get to me in time. So I've said sorry to those people and told the people from that life that it wasn't their fault, it was mine. You know, it was my fault. I ran into the path of the horse. So that's healed something, some part of my previous lives. And then I've seen myself in a life where I've been obviously, to me, this is why I don't like deep water, drowned on purpose. So I don't know, I haven't seen myself much in that life, only apart from being in the water. So that made all sense to me why I don't like deep water, and that has been a growing fear of mine as I got older. When I was a child I wasn't bothered, so it's as I've opened up more spiritually that this fear of deep water has come about. So because I'm starting to remember things from past lives. I've also seen myself as in my native Indian life, and that life I shared there, one of my guides is from that life, which is lovely. I've seen another life where I'm a female doctor. It turned out I was a doctor in it, and that was very lovely. Didn't see that one end, so I believe in that life I lived a long life. And again in a long dress, so this was many hundred years ago. And I've seen myself in another big house, but I didn't live there. I worked there. I was called Susan, and what I got from that regression was that I had a very, very happy life. You know, that the family around me, my husband and my children, I knew I was adored. You know, and that was a lovely life, because quite a few I've seen have not turned out so well. But it's interesting to me that I know I've had many past lives, you see. And I did another one Sunday, just before my dad came round, because I said you're only in it 2 or 3 minutes, you can do it very quickly. And I was a man, definitely a man, called Thomas, I can't remember the name, I wrote it down. I lived in a place called Biggleswade in the United Kingdom, and I didn't have time to do it afterwards, because my dad was round for dinner, so I was getting dinner ready. So, but later that evening, I looked up on Ancestry someone with this name in Biggleswade, and I found someone, and that was a eureka moment. So I believe I was that man. Because where did I get that man from? I could see him, I knew the place, the year, or I typed in the year and the place into Ancestry, and found a man with that name that I'd been told I was in that year. So that was absolutely amazing. And since then I've bought myself some, I've got 3, I can't find the other one at the moment. There are 3 of these CDs by Brian Weiss, or Weiss, however the people say, or how he says it actually, isn't it? But it's Brian and W-E-I-S-S, he's Dr. Brian Weiss. And I bought these off Hay House, and these are CDs. I've used one already, it must be my CD player. To regress myself, and the same exact progress, exactly the same as regression yourself. So what I'm saying is that you can regress yourself very cheaply. You don't have to go to someone to regress you, because what could be going on there actually is you've got a bit of a fear of it, so you don't go into it properly because you're a bit scared. You've never done anything like that, you've never had a psychic reading, or it's all new to you, and it might not perhaps work for some people. If you can do it in the comfort of your own home and cheaper, you can do it many times, you see. When you go for a regression, that's probably going to cost you £40–50, isn't it? And you're not going to do that often, are you? But you can do this as often as you need to when you've got questions. Oh, the other life I saw myself in was my ex-husband in that, and our 2 children. Of course, again, we all look different. But what happened in that regression made total sense to me, because it's why things played out in the life I had with him in this life, because he was very controlling in this life, and in the past life I saw him in, again I was in a long dress, not in one of the big houses, in an ordinary home. He was controlling in that life, so he's gone through many lives controlling me. This is probably why now I have a total dislike for control, so if I meet someone new who is like that, I can spot it immediately, that they're controlling. And the most recent to do with past life thing I bought is the Past Life Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue and Brian Weiss. And when I saw these, I thought, I must have them. And I've used these, I've only had them a few weeks. For each card has got one picture on it. That's my latest one I've shuffled, and it popped out, angels. That's my connection to the angelic realm, which I do know that. I have felt that and seen that before. Now there's one that comes out for me a lot, and it is the one, this one, authority figures. So I've had bad experiences in my past lives with authority figures. Well, yes, I have. So that one is why I don't like authority figures now. I've had a few of these come. I don't do it every day, don't do it every week, but there's some that I definitely haven't had. This one came out for me and my dad when I was talking to my dad about them, and he shuffled them and then I shuffled them. Vows, and this makes so much sense. That vows I could have made in a previous life. It said if you've made vows, you've probably got a life linked to a nun, a priest, a monk. Or different times I've had healing, which is actually when I'm at Reiki or meditation classes, I have seen myself, as soon as people have been putting their hands over me or on me, I see myself as a monk, a male monk. So this card, you know, as soon as it came up, I thought, and I got the book out, and it says that in those lives, well, as one of those people in one of those professions, you made vows to, it's not always about being poor, because of course they weren't really poor, were they? They had food, they had always had food, they always had shelter, always had, hopefully had water, but so in my view, they weren't poor. But they didn't have big houses, did they? They didn't have holidays, they didn't have things like that. So it's saying you may have made a vow in a past life to not have things, to not have your own house, to not have your own family, to not. So this might be why, although I've had all those previous lives in big houses, now I've got somewhere in a previous life as a monk, I've decided to be poor. So there's something you can say in the book, there's a verse you can say in the book to undo that vow, that you cut the vows to those, cut the ties to those vows you made in the previous life as a previous person. So I think I feel a lot of people to get this card. There's another one here, this one about Egypt. I've always had an Egypt, this one comes out a lot for me. I've always had an interest in Egypt, and always felt I wanted to go there, whereas I've opened up massively in the last 2 years, I don't want to go there, because I know that the experience I had there was not good. And that's before I got these cards. before I started regressing myself, I knew that. There's lots in here about love, life, wisdom. This is lovely with the unicorn on. I've had this one pop up recently for me. This is lovely. Orphan came out for when I was doing it for someone else. There's knighthood, slavery, Asia, forgiveness, biblical. I get that one quite a lot. There's actually about 4 cards that I get out of here every time when I shuffle them. Oh, and this one, Atlantis. And I've been a lot more interested in Atlantis recently, and maybe this deep fear of deep water could come to this, because of course this place flooded, didn't it? There's a world under the sea, isn't there? A city under the sea, and they know this for a fact. So maybe I was there and it flooded, you know, and I drowned, besides the fact that somebody drowned me in a past life. And this one, galactic. You've got angels, you've got trees. They've all got one word on, you know, one name. So like Atlantic, Asia, angels. But they are brilliant cards. I'm so pleased I got them, because they again help you to realise that something going on. It could be something that's currently going on in this week or this month with you, and you could shuffle the cards, and then whatever one pops out, or with me they tend to fly out actually. I just shuffle them and they fly out. So you could do that, and you could, or you could shuffle them, or you could just spread them out like this. This is another way you can do cards. You can just spread them out, and you can just look at them, and whatever one is sort of standing out to you, you know, whatever one is calling you, just pull that one out. They're very easy to use, and then you can read in the book what it means, and it will tell you, you know, and usually if it's something that he feels is restricting you from your past life, it will tell you what to do. And this one to do with the vows, it says, he asks you to say, if you want to, I'm willing to sever all vows that are blocking me in this lifetime. I ask that all aspects of painful vows be now and forever undone in all directions of time for everyone concerned. Because when I shuffled the cards and got the vows, then my dad shuffled the cards and he got the vows, and I feel that me, my dad and brother, and probably my mum was, all the same. We've probably all lived and met each other in the past, probably lived in a commune or a nunnery or a church in a past life, and we all made these vows to stay there, which of course is also to do with the authority figures, isn't it, really, as well? It's not, but they were lucky in one way, because they always had, they didn't have freedom, that's what they didn't have. They didn't have freedom, but they did have food, shelter and water, didn't they? So they had all they needed in that way, but they gave up their freedom. So I've done that a few times now, said that saying, you know, often when I look at my cards, I get the book out again and then I say it again, because there is so many aspects of us now linked to past lives. I'm very pleased I bought these, so if you're interested in past lives, it may well be worth you buying them. Or buying, there's many books that Dr. Brian Wise has written. This is just one. So I don't know if in the other books it has in the back the verses to say to regress yourself, to record yourself on your phone, which of course everyone can do now, can't they? There's another book, I know another book has got a CD in it, so if you look on Amazon, if you're interested, because this is like a very reasonable priced, cheap way to regress yourself. And what I like to do is write them down afterwards, what I've seen, because and it's nice to keep things like that in a journal and look back at them. Sometimes when you find that journal by accident and you look in it, it's nice to read over this past life experience. But something that's actually currently still going on in my life with my oldest son is linked to the past life. But he, no doubt, doesn't believe in those sort of things, and I can't talk to him because he won't talk to me. But I know that what's going on in his head is much of it is linked to the past life, and what happened in this life with my ex-husband is also to do with that past life. So I understand why my son feels the way he does, because he's got so much guilt, but a lot of that guilt is actually coming from the past life, not this life. So one day when he talks to me, I can explain this to him. I text him, and he doesn't, well, I hope he reads them. I know it's his phone number, but I know that something major going on in my life is linked to the past life. Maybe other lives I haven't yet seen myself in, where this ex-husband is in, and the children. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed listening. If you ever want a reading with me, you can go to my website, which is www.angelspiritmessages.co.uk. You can always message me, and you can ask me any questions, and if you want to ask me any questions about my regressions or what it felt like, being in that regression, I'm very happy to answer them. Thank you all for listening. Goodbye.